I got a question from an investor that follows us, asking about they're going to buy a bank foreclosure property in California and it's occupied but cannot be viewed. Was asking the best way of handling the situation. Hi, my name is Rob Wells. I'm the Landlord Warrior on TikTok and YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our videos. Now, I've dealt with this situation and helped a lot of investors figure things out. I'm going to assume, for the purposes of the deal, that you understand what you're buying, okay? And with a bank foreclosure, especially if it's you're buying at the trustee sale, you got to do your homework ahead of time, okay? I got a war story here where I had an inexperienced investor purchase a foreclosure property. They didn't understand that the foreclosure in that case involved a first and second mortgage. Then the investor bought the second mortgage, unbehooves, didn't get a preliminary title report and understand that the first deed of trust was like a $500,000 note that they were going to have to assume, okay? Now, don't be like that investor, okay? Know what you're buying in. And this is how, if I'm thinking about a deal, I'm going to talk about the landlord-tenant issues or the occupancy issues, okay? Well, you're buying an unknown, basically, okay? And probably the name of the game is figuring out as many unknowns as possible, okay? So, for example, in the message I was sent, buying a property in California. Okay, great. I'd ask, where is the property at, okay? And that's going to be for a number of reasons. From the landlord-tenant, occupancy context, I want to know if that city or that municipality, county, for whatnot, you're buying it, if it's in an unincorporated part of a county, if they have some type of eviction control for tenants, okay? I would want to know if they're actual tenants in the property, or is it going to be the owner that's being foreclosed on, or if they're squatters for that matter. That would kind of be relatively helpful information. The reason is, under most eviction ordinances, only bona fide tenants, you have a true landlord-tenant relationship, they're not the foreclosed owner of the property, or their immediate relatives are generally not subject to eviction control. If it's a true tenancy, you're going to have to deal with that. And guess what? Under state law, you possibly have the Tenants Protection Act of 2019 to deal with as well, too. This particular landlord stated they weren't unsure of a lease. I would definitely want to know if there's a lease. That would be evidence of a landlord-tenant relationship, and that, you as a landlord may be stuck with that lease moving forward if you purchase this property. Back in the old days, leases and stuff were wiped out, but there have been some protections that have been passed in recent years where some tenants do have protections and so forth like that too. You also, that being said as well too, usually a localized eviction control ordinance or the Tenants Protection Act is also probably going to apply as well, despite if there's a lease or not. It makes it that much harder if you don't have a lease term, for example. If the property is actually being rented, you might be subject to rent control as well, meaning you can't raise the rents more than a certain percentage each year. I'd want to know that too, so that knowing where the property is at does help. So those are a few things I'm thinking about. Overall, what I tell investors is you got to make sure that the deal makes sense for you, because, for example, I have a high school buddy of mine. He's a contractor, okay? If the place is falling down and out and about, my guy can fix it, okay? Versus myself, I'm not a contractor. I couldn't even put a ceiling fan up on the ceiling up here. It'd probably crash on your head. So I'm probably going to have to hire people. I'm not going to have the ability like my contractor buddy of mine to do things, because he knows how to do stuff and he has crews. I don't. I have to hire someone. So your situation is going to vary. Those would be the key things I'm looking at for, in the eviction context. But, this is kind of like a loaded question. Your mileage may vary. It depends on your objective.